from the Oak Wall Studios in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Hello, this is Jesse Oakley III, and welcome to the Oak Zone. And today is Sunday morning, and it's time for the Sunday Morning Chat Series. And here I get to interview a plethora of positive people that are making a big difference in the community. And today we got ourselves a dynamic show. I am very interested, and I also look for different people that are making big difference in the community. And I happen to come across somebody called the Giving Guru. That piqued my curiosity. And to know what the Giving Guru is all about and how she got started, please let me welcome none other than the Giving Guru herself, Miss Michelle Hardy. Hey, Michelle, how's it going?
Hey, it's going great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to this chat with you and just, whatever good comes of it, I'm looking forward to it all.
Yeah. All right. And without any further delay, let's chat. Right now, Michelle, you mentioned something about the Giving Guru on your website and everything else, but the happy people and myself would like to know, what is the Giving Guru?
Okay, so I am known as the Giving Guru. Someone gave me that name because I do a lot of random acts of kindness. And so I'm an expert on giving, right? So I give without ceasing. So everywhere I go, I'm constantly giving to whoever I meet along my journey, right? Mm-hmm. So that was just a name that someone coined for me, right? And it just kind of stuck, and I just kept using it. And now people are like, oh, there goes the Giving Guru. And so I just kind of use it with everything, right? Yeah.
All right. And you talked about it a little bit in the answer. And how officially did the Giving Guru start? Could you take us to that journey?
Right. So many years ago, I had written a short story. And just to kind of give you how long it was like 8 pages, double-sided. That's all that it was, right? 8.5 by 11, right? And it was just this endearing story of an elderly woman and a young little girl, right? And so the little girl would be allowed to go down the street to this woman's house, and they would have tea together, right? And so when the little girl would go over there, the lady would allow her to go into her basement, right? Mm-hmm. And in the basement, there were all these beautiful and magical things in the basement, right? So that's basically the story. And so when I wrote this fictional story, I would give the story out, and then I'd give something from the story, right? So I've been just doing that for years, right? And just kind of, and what really kind of pushed me in gear to do it even more, one Christmas, I didn't have any money. And so I went into a thrift store and I saw something from my story in the thrift store in the case, right? So I thought, I can give these cups and the story to my family and friends, and they loved it, right? So I just been doing that for years, right? So along my journey, where I work at now, one of my jobs, because I have many, a lady called me a customer, and she says, I don't know if you remember who I am, but you gave me the most beautiful gift and a story. And she said, that's so wonderful that you go around town giving out the gifts and giving out the story of the lady, right? Mm-hmm. And so I didn't bother to correct her and tell her that this is a fictional story, right? So I didn't bother to correct her. She's an elderly lady, and, I just let her have her moment, right? So then it just kind of dawned on me, like, did you ever have someone in your life that was just that kind to you, right? And so in the story, the elderly lady gives the little girl these beautiful things, right? Teacups, and silver, and brooches, and ticking timepieces, just exquisite, beautiful vintage things, right? Well, the lady dies. The lady dies in the story, okay? So when this woman in my real life calls me and she's, saying, oh, that's so beautiful that you're doing that. And I thought, was there somebody in my life like my real story? And there was. So I did have a real lady in my own life, right? Mm-hmm. So as I had written this story, it manifested itself in my own life. And it took this other lady to make me recognize what was going on in my own life. So the real lady in my real life, she gave me silver and brooches and teacups and little ticking timepieces, right? And in the story, in my fictional story, the elderly lady leaves the little girl her house. Well, where I live now, the lady just told me, okay, you can move in there. You don't have to do anything. They just need to remodel it, right? Now, I don't own the place, but it's just like it was handed to me. So just like I wrote in my story, I was handed somewhere to live, right? Wow. So all these things are happening to me. So I still have the things from the real lady, right? But what I do in my real life is I don't give away her things, right? I find things along my journey to give to people, right?
Yes.
Things from my story. So if that makes any sense. So as I wrote it, it started coming true in my own life. And I didn't even realize it. I'm just going on my journey doing my random acts of kindness, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So coming full circle, people are calling me the giving guru, and I'm just going around speaking, sharing my story. So the story ends up turning into a real book, right? So someone said, well, you should write a book. I'm like, well, what else am I going to write about? So I just started adding my own real life to that initial story. Since the initial story is coming true, I just started adding my own real life to it, right? So the book here, I have the book here, and it's Mrs. Eel's Basement of Beautiful and Magical Things, right? Yes. And the real lady, she had a house that had a basement, and it was like her catch-all, it had all these different things, and I could say, oh, I need such and such. She said, oh, child, go on down there in the basement. It's down there, So yeah, it's just like, you can write and you can speak out what you want, and then it will manifest. And throughout my life, my own personal life is like that. So I have to be mindful of how I think about things, how I feel about you, right? Because it could very well manifest itself, right?
Yes.
So we have to just be mindful about how we feel about people, what we're thinking about people, because it could come true, and then you could hand somebody their fate, right? So we don't want that, right? Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. So yeah, there you have it.
Oh my goodness, that's quite the story that you have there, and I can't wait to get one of your books. And I was wondering if I can get an autographed copy of your book. Wink, wink.
Yes, we can give you an autographed copy. Yes, we can. Yeah.
All right.
I have several books, so that's not the only book that I have. But
okay. Yeah. Cool. Now, what was some of the challenges you faced in starting up the Giving Guru business?
Right. So initially, I didn't think it was a business, right? Because it's really charitable work. It's kindness. So I'm a nonprofit. Right. Okay. So the most challenging thing I think would be is when you're trying to give and the person doesn't know how to receive. Right. So you're trying to give somebody something and they don't know how to accept your kindness. Right. They don't feel like they deserve it. Right. Because of where they are in their life. So I've had people say, oh, no, keep your random acts of kindness, lady, And so along my journey, I've just asked God to just guard my heart and then to bring the people to me that need what I have to offer, right? So that way, whoever's coming to me wants what I have to give, right? Yeah. And so it works out that way. Yeah. That's the most challenging part, is that people feel like they don't deserve kindness, right? So
Mm.
yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, what were some of the best moments you experienced?
Oh, wow. When people say that, or the reaction. So some people, like, I'll do storytelling. So the same story that I told you, I share in the classroom, and I teach students about random acts of kindness, right? And so sometimes when I share the story, people cry, right? Because it reminds them of a time with their grandparent or an elderly person, or just recently, I went to speak in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Mm.
And this lady, she just was weeping. And, then the next day she came up to me and she was just kind of crying again. And I was like, well, what's going on? And she said, she said, I had someone in my life like that, and the lady died. And she said, I always wondered why she wanted to hang out with me, or why I always had to go over to this lady's house. But there was a reason for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just love. It was just basically love. So, the story it's rewarding because it touches people in different ways. Or, like, for example, I gave my mother a pocket watch to give to her friend. So I beautifully wrapped it. And usually I wrap things very beautifully and give them as gifts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the man was just so overwhelmed by the watch. And it was a watch, and it was a veteran's watch, right? Well, I didn't know he was in the military, right? And so it meant so much to him. So he carried it all the time, So things like that. Or I'll give a teacup to someone, and like I gave it to one of my friends, and she just wept and wept and wept. And I'm like, well, what's wrong? She says, this is the same teacup of my friend who died when she was 7. And she said, we used to have tea together. And she said, and then she died in a car accident, and I didn't get to see her anymore. But it was the same teacup that they had tea in, it was the same kind of cup with the same. So she just wept. So it just brings back all of these memories for people. And I'm not, investigating what the person likes. It's just, I just give it, and then it resonates however it resonates with the person, right? So it's just truly, just a God thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, hear that? Kaboom. That's my mind exploding
Yeah.
after hearing all those stories. My goodness. Woo. All right.
Yeah.
Now, the next question I have for you is, let's say that you meet somebody that is mind blown, inspired, and amazed by the work that you're doing right now and want to do what you're doing. If you can offer any aspiring advice to that individual, what would it be?
Right. Well, for me, I just always teach people to give without ceasing, right? So it's not hard to do. It's just that some people are stumped because they want to do something specific, right? But like I said, I carry around random acts of kindness, just things that I want to give. People give me things, and then I give those things to other people, right? I share what I have at the moment with people, right? Mm-hmm. So whatever you have, right? Maybe you have a pair of shoes that you're not going to use anymore, but there's somebody that may need those shoes, right? So you can clean them up and wrap them really nicely or whatever, and then just give them to somebody. Where I live, it's very common to set your things out in front of your place where you live, and people come and pick it up, right? Mm-hmm. Because they have a need for that, right? It could be whatever, right? You have a vacuum cleaner, it still works, so you set it out, right? So that's one way to do it, right? You can give by helping someone. You can do that, right? You can give by just showing someone a smile, right? Just every time you see that person, and maybe you haven't been showing the smile, but maybe you could, every time you muster up one, and then pretty soon time you see that person, you'll be smiling all the time, right? Because when someone smiles, we smile back.
Oh,
so
yes.
just that doesn't cost us anything, just opening our mouths, right? And just hi, that basically that's it. Yeah. So it's not hard to give. And people think that it's hard, but and then some people want to do something on a magnitude, just like something that's so mind-blowing, but it's those little tiny things, right? Those little bitty things that make it a huge thing if you do it as a part of your life, like I do it, right? So yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful life I live.
Oh my, I bet it is. Now, how can more people know more about the Giving Guru? Where could they go to find out more about Michelle Hardy, the Giving Guru?
Right. So I'm at michellehardy.org, right? And like I said, I have other books. So I just released the book, The Algorithm, which is poetry and short stories. So you can find that there. And then I have another book coming, a children's book called The Giving Satchel, right? And so you can find all those under the books pull down on the website. So yeah, michellehardy.org. You can look, my name is Michelle Tamiko Hardy, right? So if you just search me online, you'll find me, right? Yeah, and you search Michelle Hardy Giving Guru, you'll find me, yeah. So I have a public figure.
Yeah, I tell you, that's fantastic.
Thank you, yeah.
All right, and for the people that missed that, if you missed that, do not fret because the link that Michelle mentioned will be in the description below. So after you check out this interview, just go to the link in the description below and you'll find more about Michelle Hardy, the Giving Guru. All right, Michelle. The next question I have for you, time flies when you're having fun, and it is shout out time. If you can give a shout out to anyone that is out there that made all this possible, who would you like to give a shout out to?
To God, right? Yeah, the source, the universe, right? Yeah, which is in me, right? Yeah, because it all comes back here. Yeah.
All right. Now, the last question I have for you is all about my people and my crew, the happy people. If you have a chance to talk to my crew, the happy people, on the words of wisdoms when they're already inspired, amazed, and motivated, what one final words of wisdom would you like to give to my people, the happy people?
Well, a lot of people ask me about the books, because I have this saying, I draw books like albums, right? It's just like, oh, I got another book coming, So my advice, which I love talking about, is just that when you're writing, don't get caught up in perfection, because there's something for every part, or there's someone for every part of the book process, right? So I am the writer, so I stay in my lane and I write the book. There's someone to edit your book. There's somebody to read your book to make sure it makes sense. There's somebody to lay out your book and design it, right? There's all these different people that do these different things. So utilize those people. So a book is like your baby, right? We don't want to give up our baby, right? We want to hold on to the baby, but the baby has to go visit some other places sometimes so that it can grow, so that it can be whatever it's going to be, right? We can't give the baby everything, right? So it gets all these different experiences. So you let it go for a week to the editor. You let it go for a week to the layout and design person. You let it go over here, and so your friend can read it and just to see if it makes sense. So you do that. Let it go and be okay with their suggestions, their criticism, because it's all help, right? It's all help and it's all love, so that you can have the best product when you present it to the world, right? And even when you get all of that done and it's ready to go to print, let it go. Let it go to print, and don't worry about there's not a period here or a comma there, or oh my God, I left this out, because what happens? We print more copies, right?
Yes.
And so the next print, we can fix that, right? So that's how you do it. And so then you're on to your next book, because now you got that experience, right? So everything is fixable. And there's no problems in writing your book. You're getting your message out there, your dream, your desire, right? Yeah, yes.
All right. And what a perfect way to end this wonderful interview, idea to action. And it makes a big difference, because when you have to take idea to action and certain things don't work out the way they do, it's all learning lessons. And when you win, you learn. You learn, you grow, and when you grow, you can't lose one bit. So on behalf of all the happy people that are out there watching this video, Michelle, I'd like to take this time out to thank you for spending time with us on the Yoke Zone Sunday Morning Chat Series.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And I look forward to our journey together, whatever that may be. Right?
Oh, right. Yeah. Hey, right. Yeah. Exactly. Now, yes. Now, this concludes this episode of the Yoke Zone Sunday Morning Chat Series. If you want more past interviews I've done with positive people making a big difference in the community, all you need to go do is go to YouTube, type my name, Jesse Oakley III, and when you get to my page, click on the link called the Sunday Morning Chat Series. You'll get to hear me interview positive people like my friend Michelle over here. And this concludes this episode of the Yoke Zone Sunday Morning Chat Series. Until next time, happy people, you take care and have a great day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.